All right, thank you. So who's passing, who's failing? That's the theme. That was our theme. No more boring tests. Oh my gosh. I know y'all are already saying this woman, I can't believe she put that there. But so we're talking about engagement tools because the theme of this conference, of this session, is about academic integrity and how do we create this culture around trust and build trust so that students don't feel like they have to cheat in order to pass. So what does that look like? And so we're gonna take some time to indulge in this. So here's my welcome video.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, this email is so rude. I'm certainly gonna have to report her. I'm gonna report her. Oh, I wonder what she meant by nice hair. Interesting. Hey, so what did you mean about nice hair?
I meant I love your hair. It's a new do, a new cut, and I loved it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so what just happened there? Unmute. Tell me what did you see that happened in that TikTok? And how can, well, let's answer that first question. What did you see in that TikTok?
Miscommunication.
Miscommunication. Anything
Assumptions.
else? Assumptions.
Assumptions.
Yes, assumptions. Anything else?
Interpretations based on tone and how you received it.
And yes, so miscommunication, interpretation, all of that. So how does that relate to giving someone an assignment? What type of assignment was that we can say, oh, that's an assignment where you don't have to cheat? What happened there that you would say, I can use this in my classroom where my students can be authentic themselves and don't cheat? What type of assignment would you sign up for that? I'm listening. So anyway, that was called TikTok. That is a TikTok, that is a video. So I'm thinking about when we think about students and we think about activities that we have to do to get them to engage and to get them learning, that's one of the activities. That's a very simple activity and it's based on, so that was a communication. So I said, let's do a if we were in a communication class and how to send emails and what emails look like. This is a simple video tool. Students love cell phones. They keep their cell phones just like right here, just like you have your cell phone. Uh-oh, I just turned on the light in my cell phone, but they keep their cell phones. And so you have to have students using the technology that they love. So if you know students are going to use cell phones because they like to do it, and in online classrooms, they're going to keep, they have it, but I'm certain in traditional classrooms, they're going to have it. Use the technology that they have so that and make assignments so that they can use it not to cheat, but to do assessments and do assignments that you create for them. So TikTok is something really, really cool. So when we talk about this whole thing around assignments and as we think about integrity, the one of the first things is to how do we be more flexible, being more open to our assignments, and when we're building and engaging in the learning, being open. Cheating, when we talk about cheating doesn't necessarily have to be when we create an opportunity to be flexible and to be open. That's a conversation between you, the student, and the culture that you build in the classroom. Make your intellectual property or your intellectual capital available to everyone. What does that mean? How do you do that and still make sure students not cheat? How do you make your intellectual capital available to everyone? How do you do that now?
I think we do it by teaching. I have knowledge and I want to convey that to them. So when I lecture or make a video, that's not my intellectual property, but it's my intellectual capital.
Right.
And I want to convey that to them. I give it to them and then they can take it and use it however they see fit.
And why is that? And so tell us why that is important to do so when you're trying to avoid things like cheating and failure.
Hmm. Well, if I model that and I ask them then to convey to me what they understand in a way that is genuine and addresses their whole person as a learner, then, using either TikTok or I just came from a session on Flipgrid, asking them to demonstrate their knowledge in a little video with or without their face on the video, then that gives them an opportunity to sort of return the favor, as it will. Not only do I get to see what they understand, but their fellow classmates get to see what they've learned as well.
Excellent, excellent. And so that, again, we create, and we'll talk about this in just a minute, this whole culture of trust. Anybody else have anything to say about that? All right, access, more accessible to students and to teachers. So what does this access look like? How do I have access to my students, and how do students, because we have some students, I'm sure, that might be in here in the sessions, how do we have access to our students, and how do students have access to us? We have to make sure that we create the accessibility so that when students have questions and they email, you can't wait 5 days to respond to a student. I had a particular faculty that we were working with, and so they were, I believe this was their first time teaching online. Of course, we certainly have trainings, and we say how you should handle this session, and we'll tell them, you make sure that you respond to students within 24 hours. Now, originally it was 24 hours Monday through Friday. However, when you have assignments due on Sunday, then guess what? Students may just wait until the last minute. Do you all have any last minute students? They wait until the 9th hour to submit their assignment? Absolutely you do, because what? We have adult learners. So adult learners have children, responsibilities. And so we have to make sure that we're flexible enough to have the room for students to call us, students to email us. And I'm not saying, so I hear you now saying, well, I can't be available 24/7. I have my own life. Absolutely you do. But when you're teaching in certain environments and you have assignments that are due at 11:57, 11:59 p.m. on a Sunday night, and students have questions, the best way to help them keep from veering off or maybe cheating or deciding to try to figure out other ways to get this information is, if they have a question, let them have access to you. Now, so that means you may have to create rules and guidelines and timelines and say, hey, I have open house. For example, for me, I have what's called virtual sessions every Tuesday and Thursday evenings, because again, when you teach asynchronous most time, I need virtual office hours. So I know that on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 until 9, I am actively watching my phone, listening for emails. I'm actively engaging, even though most times students, now they don't call from 7 to 9, or they don't text or email, but I have set that rule there so that I understand Thursday is closer to the time that you would be submitting your assignment. If you have any questions, then you will be able to get information from me before it's too late. Any thoughts about that before we move on?
Well, I
right.
found,
Go ahead. Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
What I use a lot with my students is Microsoft Teams, because it's kind of more of a chatting environment, which the students seem to like a lot better than writing a formal email. But I have it on my phone, I have it on my computer, it beeps on my watch. So I kind of tell them, I'm not going to check Teams after 9 p.m. on weeknights because I go to sleep at night. Yes. But you are welcome to send me a chat. And sometimes the answer is literally like a 2-second answer. And I don't want my students to have to wait for 5 hours to get the answer that'll take me 2 seconds to respond.
Wonderful. That's the difference between good and great. So
I have a question about that.
Yes.
Do you just leave the chat open like 24 hours, and if somebody dings, you like look at it, it notifies you right away?
The way it works with Microsoft Teams is it's just like chatting on your phone, where if a student sends you a chat, it dings like my phone just did. And that way it just pops up as just like a regular email message or a text message on my phone. And it just says someone sent you a Teams chat. And I tell it that I have sleep time, so don't bug me between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. on weekdays or something like that. I enjoy it with my students because they can screen share a lot. I write software and coding, and so they screen share their code, or they can screen share what they're looking at, send it to me in a chat, and then I can immediately respond. And I can say, oh, you're missing a semicolon here, or this is what I really wanted. Same kind of thing as Google Chat. Yeah.
Oh, Google Chat. I don't, because
I use Google Voice.
But this is much better.
I use Google
like it?
Voice, and that means that students can have a phone number, but they can text me. I like the idea of Teams better, but our institution doesn't use Teams, so I'm not sure I could use that. We use Zoom, but with Google Voice, it's free. You just go on to a website. Someone was asking how to get it. Go on to the Google Voice website, select a phone number, and attach it. It just gets attached to link to your phone number, and it actually rings or pings on your own phone. And then students can text me, but they don't have my private phone number. So.
And
Yeah, I made the
keyword.
mistake of
Go
doing that, giving my
Mhm.
private phone number. Bad idea. Don't do that.
So good. Go ahead. Somebody else says something? Okay, make sure that you all are typing those things in the chat. That way, if someone is thinking about using Teams or using Google, the free Google number, that they can have that information. So if you don't mind just putting in the chat, Google free number, you can get a Google free number or Microsoft Teams. So this next bullet, we have expected our students to be flexible. We have to, as educators, continue to be flexible. Now, flexibility does not mean Angelita was supposed to submit her assignment on Tuesday, but Angelita didn't submit it until Friday and didn't say anything. No, that is not what I mean by flexibility. What flexibility means is that, again, we create this culture of how do we work through this assignment? Now, some assignments we can't be flexible, but there are some times that we know that we can be flexible. We can be flexible with how information is received, how information is supposed to be given back. And so we can control those things so that students learn. It is learning. We are simply here to learn and to teach. And that is our responsibility. Our students, they're there to learn, and our responsibility is to teach. Access to a huge database of free material where we could create material. The open nature mature will see an increase in quality. So what that means is you have access, you give students access. There's so much now that students can go to and do. But if you give them, now this takes time. When you're building courses and you're talking about building classes and assessments, it takes time to sometimes build this initial set. And we're gonna chat about that in just a minute. But giving them access to information, not to overload them, but to show them, hey, guess what? Where you're going, I already seen it. So if you're going there and here, I'm giving it to you so you can go and look to use it to help you, but I've already seen it. So what you think you're going to cheat or what you think you're going to do, I've already seen it. So it almost, it's like telling your children, I've been, 17 before. I know what 17-year-olds do. I've been, a teenager, so I know what to do. So you're giving them the information that they're going to go and try to find a cheat, but you give them that information up front so they know, hey, I'm already there. So communication, again, and some of this is a little redundant if you were in our previous session. So if you hear it, you're going to hear it. You might hear it again. Students should know what to expect or what is allowed. So you've got to, in your syllabus, in your classroom policies or expectations, you have to let students know what to expect. Just like, I think it was either Crystal, Leslie, someone talked about the teams. Don't text me after 9 o'clock because I've got to go to bed. So you've got to communicate. You have to communicate what are going to be the consequences if you do not submit something, or if you turn in something and it's plagiarism or it's cheating. You have to let students know. Let them know what is allowed, what's not allowed, the consequences. Talk about past consequences. It's okay to talk about, so this happened in this situation because we had given the student a chance and, they got a 0, but then the next time it happened, this is what happened. They were, put out of the program, they lost their scholarship. Communicate your expectations, communicate when you're going to be available, communicate when you're going to grade. So for instance, students know that on Sunday, their assignment is due. They also know that by Thursday, they will have a grade. But there are times when there are larger assignments or larger papers, and it's too much for me to read. And I know that in order to give good feedback, that I'm going to need some more time. So what I'll do at the beginning of the week or when the assignment is done, I'll say, please expect feedback in 7 days, or I'll give a specific date. That gives me time, but that also gives them time to know that, hey, she is going to give me feedback. I know she's going to give me feedback and I know when. And so it's important that you create this, what we call culture of trust, listening to students. Y'all remember what was the cereal that said tricks are for kids?
Tricks.
Yes. So tricks are for kids. So that they're not for adults. What I mean by that is, again, I hear you. I'm channeling your energy. You don't have to play tricks with students. You don't have to letter A, B, C and do capital A, capital B, capital C, and then lowercase c to try to trick. Those are mind games. You don't have to do that. Teach the material. Even let them know what's going to be on the test, what they should be expected to do. Even if you give them 100 questions to study and you choose 10 or 15, make sure that the 100 questions are questions that are related to the chapter or related to the information or related to the material. So make sure that this is how you create trust, because if you begin to trick and play nobody likes mind games, then students, they begin to get haywire and they really don't know what to believe, if they should do this. So they start making mistakes or errors that probably they could avoid if we created that trust. Make the course a learning experience. How do you do that? How do I make it a learning experience? Some courses, unfortunately, can't always have this type of interaction where everybody opens up because it's 200 or 300 or 60 or 70. But make sure that whatever assignments you can, you're creating learning experience. You're connecting so that students feel like whatever they learned last week, it's applying to the next week. Whatever they learned the next week is applying to something they're doing. You can always find ways because students will quickly say, well, this has nothing to do with me. I have nothing. It does absolutely nothing for me. But you have to find ways to make it connect to the students. Don't make academic integrity a failure for the class. Our goal is not to fail students. That is no one ever wrote, our job is to fail students. When students say, you failed me. No, sir. No, ma'am. I did not fail you. You failed yourself. You failed yourself because you were not a part of what was being taught. You were not a part. You chose not to either submit. It's very hard. It's very difficult to fail my class, but you failed it because you didn't submit. You didn't ask for help, and you did not seek. When I told you what was going on, you didn't make those corrections. And again, I can't say it enough, respond in a timely manner. Now, group work is another one of these ways of engaging students, because what group work does, it makes students accountable. It makes them accountable for the learning. It's hard to kind of cheat on group work. Would you agree? It's sort of kind of hard, even though you have your separate or individualized areas in the project. But when you're in a group, you make them, they should have time to meet. So they're meeting like this on Zoom or Teams or something. But the groups are also able to create rules. Anytime I have group assignments, I make sure that there are rules. Now the teams create the rules. And so these rules include, showing up for scheduled Zoom, submitting their section of the work on time, even attitudes. So here's the thing, there's a rubric that I use so that students are able to grade each other on how well they showed up. You know, if you had 5 meetings and a person in your group only showed up 2 times, well, guess what? They get points taken out for that. Same thing, if the group agreed that everyone would submit their part of the work or the section, like if there are 4 people in our group, Mary had to submit hers before me submitting mine, but we all had timelines. And if someone in the group missed a timeline, again, that's a part of the rubric. And the attitude, if we came, how we dealt with each other, that's, you know, and we put, I normally grade that a little bit higher because we want the synergy. Most jobs that you're going to go to, you're not going to work by yourself. You're going to have to be inclusive. So again, this is a great way to reduce cheating and allow for more work that shows the student and make sure that this student is showing up. GroupMe, form a GroupMe account. All of my classes have a GroupMe. And so that GroupMe, you can be a part of it or not. It's certainly like Microsoft Teams, very similar, or to Google. It's a text-based. So text messaging where the students, they can chat back and forth. You can jump in as the faculty professor and jump back and forth with them and give them information. But GroupMe is absolutely a wonderful tool that you can use for chat. It's internet web-based, so no one, is not about phone numbers, having private phone numbers. It is information that your students can use, and they can use it as they're doing their group work. So for you large professors that have a lot of students, I hear you saying, I have too many students in my class to grade tests. So I can't grade, I can't, you know, do individual assignments like that, or a lot of group projects or essays. So fine, I understand that. But make your test worth small amounts. Don't make it so huge that it fails the students. Again, we're not trying to fail anyone. Of course, auto grade and Canvas or Blackboard or whatever platform you use, Google Classroom, whatever you use, make it auto graded so that you don't have to go in there and grade it. Create, now this takes time. It does take time. Large pools of questions. That way, every semester or every term, you know, students where they post their test or whatnot, and they post the answers because they're going to do it. Then the next semester, you can just grab from those questions. So you may not question them. You may not have 20 questions. You may have 10 questions, or you may have 20 questions, but you may have a pool of 100 so that you're always switching questions in and out. Some may appear again, some may not. So make sure that you're varying the type of questions that you have. And then create key questions made to catch academic dishonesty. So there are some questions that you shouldn't be able to find out there, because if I've talked about it, if I've been on a Zoom, or if it's in a PowerPoint, then students shouldn't, it may not just be out there. So make sure that you're creating content, if it's through your lecture, that those questions that you create are questions that will help reduce dishonesty. Here, I want to say this real clear. It takes time. It takes time to build this type of information, this data. Use Course Hero, use Google, Quizlets, check all of this that students use. You use it too for your advantage, but this takes time. It takes time. So someone talked about Flipgrid, and let me see. I don't know why my where are we? Okay, here we go. Hi, my name is Angelita Howard, and welcome to Course Hero. So glad to see you today. All right, see you after a while. Peace. So it took literally 30 seconds to create that. And I have 3 minutes to finish up this presentation. It took literally 30 seconds. Flipgrid is an amazing tool, again, so that you get to see your students, and you can request that they be on camera. That way you're seeing them, they know that you're seeing them, they're seeing you, and you all can video chat or create content. They can create presentations through this Flipgrid, so that whatever you're teaching, they can go back and respond to it, or you can respond to what they create. Again, we're trying to find engagement tools, ways for students to use the technology that's at their hand. All right, and so this again, a part of this whole Flipgrid. So this is how it looks. So you create this scenario. Hello, I am blah blah blah. I'm excited to learn with you on Flipgrid. You know, it tells you how do you pronounce your name. What is something we should know about you. You can create whatever you want. You can create it. You can have a script there for students to respond to. And guess what? If you have a large class and you say, okay, well, I can't go through all of them, use a student, a trustworthy student that you can give a couple extra points to, section it off. If you have 200, then use, use one student for 50, use another one for 50, use another one for 50. It is way so that you're at least checking it off to make sure that everyone is participating. Again, what you're doing is creating this synergy, this learning environment to try and decrease the amount of students that fail and the amount of students that cheat through being dishonest. So the most important lesson ever, does anyone know that? What is, someone tell me what's the most important lesson ever, period, with teaching or any work? We have a minute and a half. What is the most important lesson? Can someone think before I share? All right, you don't have to say it. The most important lesson ever, go to sleep. There's work tomorrow. I promise you, tomorrow there's going to be work. There's going to be work to do tomorrow. So with everything that you have, go to sleep. You all, thank you so much. My name is Angelita. I've had a great time today talking to you all. Follow me on LinkedIn, Angelita Howard. Follow me on Facebook, Snapchat. No, I'm not on Snapchat. LinkedIn, Instagram. Follow me. You guys are amazing. Always happy to be here at Course Hero. I hope you all have had a wonderful time at Course Hero. This has been an amazing, amazing, amazing day. So thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Mary with my 30 seconds.